Hi, good evening. You're tuning into AWANI tonight with me, Soraya Mia. 9 years on, Malaysia remains committed in its pursuit of accountability for the downing of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. The Transport Ministry in a statement today says the fight is not over, despite a Dutch court sentencing 2 Russians and a separatist Ukrainian to life in prison.
The Transport Ministry said the verdict of the criminal case in Netherlands marked an important milestone in uncovering the truth for all victims of the tragedy. However, it said the pursuit of justice does not conclude with this development. It added that the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO Council, decided it will proceed with a hearing on the settlement of differences between the conflicting parties. The Boeing 777 was en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur on July 17, 2014, when it was shot down in the eastern part of Ukraine. The crash killed all 298 passengers and crew on board, 43 of which were Malaysians.
Malaysia continues to adopt policies as a middle power in order to balance its position between global superpowers. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir says the strategic geographic position of Malaysia requires the country to take pragmatic policies in each situation.
Tetapi dalam masa yang sama, dasar-dasar berkecuali Malaysia itu sangat mustahak supaya kita tidak dilihat sebagai sebuah negara yang terlalu ke kanan atau ke kiri atau menyokong mana-mana negara kuasa yang akan memberi impak yang tidak seimbang kepada negara Malaysia kita. Antara itulah Malaysia mengambil pendekatan untuk memastikan supaya setiap dasar yang kita ambil adalah dasar yang berkecuali tetapi dalam masa yang sama memberi kesan dan impak yang positif kepada persekitaran geopolitik di kawasan kita dan termasuk juga di kawasan Asia Pasifik dan Indo-Pasifik.
Meanwhile, Malaysians in South Korea are urged to take precautionary measures after heavy rain alerts were issued across the country. The Malaysian embassy in Seoul warns of flooding in lowland areas, rivers and reservoirs affecting routes along the Han River.
The embassy also reminded Malaysians to exercise caution when passing by construction sites, slopes, retaining walls and shafts. South Korea is at the peak of its summer monsoon season, experiencing heavy rainfall in the last 4 days. Rescuers in Seoul recently recovered 13 bodies from a flooded underground road in the city, bringing the number of people dead or missing in downpours to at least 40. Across the country, 10,570 people have left their homes due to rain damage.
Sumbangan Asas Rahmah Sara recipients can make cashless purchases of basic needs at 600 selected supermarkets and grocery stores beginning today. Deputy Finance Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan says recipients only need to show their IC when making purchases at any of the listed stores.
Among the retail shops participating are Maidin, 99 Speedmart, EconSafe, Lotus's Malaysia and Giant Hypermarket. Those eligible include 210,000 Rahmah Cash Aid recipients from the hardcore poor category, determined based on e-Kasir data. The government said yesterday that these recipients will receive 600 ringgit in Sara Aid beginning Monday, with 100 ringgit cash per month for 6 months until December. Ahmad Maslan added that any balance from the first month's contributions can be carried forward to the next month. The list of participating outlets is available on the official portal of Rahmah Cash Aid at bantuantunai.hasil.gov.my.
The government will establish the Gig Economy Commission Malaysia, or SEGIM, as soon as possible to improve social protection and the welfare of workers in the industry. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi says the Human Resources Ministry will submit a memorandum to the Cabinet seeking approval for its establishment.
Selama beberapa tahun, kegiatan penggiat-penggiat ekonomi gig ini telah berjalan, namun ketidakpedulian telah dialami oleh mereka. Terutamanya kerana syarikat-syarikat yang menjadi service provider tidak menganggap penggiat gate ini sebagai pekerja, dan mereka juga, syarikat-syarikat ini tidak menganggap diri mereka sebagai majikan.
He hoped that the establishment of SEGIM will be announced at the tabling of Budget 2024 scheduled for October. Additionally, Zahid said the government intends to increase the allocation for the gig industry to 500 million ringgit in Budget 2024.
We'll be back with more news after the break.
Adakah anda masih menggunakan Astro Box yang lama? Pelanggan Astro kini ditawarkan untuk penukaran ke box Astro Baharu secara percuma. Dengan Astro Baharu, stream bila-bila masa walaupun ketika hujan. Hubungi kami untuk maklumat lanjut hari ini.
Welcome back. Two of Singapore's ruling People's Action Party PAP lawmakers, including the House Speaker, have resigned. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said on Monday that he has accepted the resignations of Speaker Tan Chuan Jin and Member of Parliament Cheng Li Hui.
Besides Mr. Tan's recent hot mic incident, the unparliamentary language which was used, there's also the relationship of the inappropriate relationship between him and his fellow PAP MP, Ms. Cheng Li Hui. This is, in comparison, I think the more serious matter, because he was a speaker and she is an MP, and there should not have been a relationship.
According to Lee, the relationship between the two senior lawmakers had continued even after calls for it to stop since February. Therefore, he said that their resignations were necessary to uphold the party's standards. Meanwhile, the Secretary-General of PAP said he will nominate the new Speaker of Parliament in the next session, which begins on August 1st.
In other news, Indonesia's President Joko Widodo announced a cabinet reshuffle involving 6 positions today. This includes appointing Budi Aris Setiadi as the new communications minister to replace Johnny Plate, who is under investigation for corruption.
The president, better known as Jokowi, announced new deputy ministers for foreign affairs, village affairs, religious affairs, communications and state-owned enterprises. He also appointed 2 new members to his special advisory board. Plate was arrested in May for his involvement in the procurement of thousands of communications towers. The Indonesian Attorney General's office said this resulted in about 8 trillion rupiah, or $544 million in state losses. Plate, who denies wrongdoing, faces life imprisonment if found guilty. He was the 5th minister under Jokowi's cabinet to be charged for corruption. In 2021, the Social Affairs and Fisheries ministers were jailed for graft.
A couple have died after blasts on the Crimean bridge linking the occupied Crimean Peninsula to Russia. Their daughter, meanwhile, sustained injuries to her head and chest, but is in stable condition. The head of Crimea's parliament blamed Ukraine for the incident, although Kiev has not officially said it was responsible. This marks the 2nd major incident on the bridge in the past year, after it was partially closed following an explosion in October last year. The bridge was opened in 2018 and enables travel between Russia and Crimea, which was annexed from Ukraine in 2014. More recently, it became an important supply route for Russian troops fighting in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russia is halting its participation in the UN-brokered Black Sea grain export deal, which allows safe export of Ukraine grain. According to the Kremlin, the part of the Black Sea agreements concerning Russia has not been implemented, and its effect is terminated.
The Kremlin said as soon as the Russian part of the agreements is fulfilled, the Russian side will return to the implementation of the deal immediately. It added that there was no link between an overnight attack on the Crimean bridge and the decision to suspend the deal. The last ship left Ukraine under the deal on Sunday, before it expired on Monday. Ukraine is the world's 5th biggest exporter of wheat, and in the top 3 for maize, barley, and sunflower seeds.
Tens of thousands of people are being evacuated in southern China and Vietnam as Typhoon Tale makes landfall tonight. Strong winds and heavy rains are forecasted to hit the southern coastline from Guangdong to Hainan provinces.
China's Meteorological Administration has issued an orange alert, the second highest warning in a 4-tier color system. Meanwhile, authorities in Vietnam said they plan to evacuate around 30,000 people from areas that are expected to be hardest hit. Tourists have been advised to leave outlying islands, and airlines have rescheduled services to avoid the typhoon. Vietnam's Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has also directed disaster response teams to prepare for rescue and relief works in light of possible floods.
The rise of online learning platforms and advanced language models like ChatGPT has sparked a contentious debate on the value of traditional learning and qualifications. Sanjay Sama, CEO, President and Dean of the Asia School of Business, sheds light on the emergence of job refugees, the concept of gig education, and the urgent need for educational leadership to adapt.
Here's how I look at it. AI is going to create what I call job refugees. Because what's going to happen is AI will change jobs, and then people have to move from one job to another. And these refugees need boats, and that boat is education. But the problem is you can't go for a year to go train on AI. So we need much more hybrid, much more agile education. We're moving to an agile future, and we're moving to a gig future. And a gig future deserves a gig education system that doesn't exist today.
Gig education system, can you talk to us? How do you envision that happening? Does it mean more flexibility, shorter period of courses?
I mean, let's say that you are in one of the beautiful buildings in Kuala Lumpur, and you're an engineer, and your boss has told you, learn about AI. What do you do? I mean, what people are doing right now is cobbling together an educational curriculum by looking at YouTube, right? And you don't know if the person is credible or not. But actually, there's good content on YouTube. You can't be certified for it. Educational institutions both have an opportunity and a duty to step up. Now, just imagine if there were an data and AI course that students could sign up for. Not just our students, who of course have first rights to it, but just imagine if students from all over KL, all over Southeast Asia, all over the world could sign up and get a certificate for it. I mean, that doesn't exist. We need to create it, and that's what we're going to create here.
Okay.
Given the changing realities of the jobs of the future, are traditional degrees and business schools still relevant?
I think an undergraduate degree, if you can afford it, is fantastic, and if it's good. And I'm not one to write it off. I certainly didn't tell my daughter, don't do an undergraduate degree. I believe deeply in it, but it's got to be done right. And the good schools do a great job of it. You know, you learn core skills, you learn the humanities. Humanities are very important. It builds your character, builds your personality. You learn about geopolitics, you learn about political history. These are all very important. Of course, you learn science, you learn math. Math is very fundamental to AI. So I'm not one to write off the undergraduate degree, but I think we should not let higher education off the hook. They need to do a better job of A, motivating it, B, teaching it in a way that students actually understand it, and C, making sure they're relevant to the real world, towards what people need in their job. We give students core skills that prepare them for a very uncertain future. How to break down a problem, how to analyze, how to negotiate, how to understand what the needs are, right? How to develop a product, how to do the finance, how to look at the implications of innovation. So these are core skills, and it prepares them. It's like if you don't know which sport you're going to play, you better have very good core strength and very good flexibility. You better do your yoga, you know? So this is what we do in the master's degree here, and I hope undergraduate degrees will do. But then in their lives, they're going to have to constantly pivot and be very, very flexible. And that is what I call quaternary education. And that has to be the new reality.
Catch the full interview with Sanjay Sarma on astroawani.com.
That's all we have for you on Awani Tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Saraya Mia, and good night.